Hello, Intactivists. There are a lot of people that are concerned about intactivism, having enough resources and educational material, when really intactivism has so many great resources that everybody can use. And I think the issue is that people just cannot find the right websites or places to go. So this video is for you so you can get your education, your organization research in, and everything intactivism we will cover. So the best place for learning about the financials and auditing for intactivism is the Intactivist Guide to Giving. They're really good for the most part. They do have some groups that aren't active anymore, like Bay Area Intactivists. They're not really active anymore. But if you go to any one of these, like Bloodstained Men, for instance, you'll see their last reporting year, 2019, revenue, how much they made, the expenses, compensation paid to the executive director. Now, this isn't very up to date, but they do allow you to use GuideStar, Charity Navigator, and ProPublica, and you can go ahead and check all that out. This is their tax returns, but once again, this is still old, but you do have some vitals, which is really cool to know, and you can always look up their nonprofit information using their EIN. This is really good stuff. They have their contact information. This is their website. The Intactivist Guide to Giving does this with every group, and it's just really awesome. And these are some questions they ask them. They try and ask every group questions, but sometimes they just do not go ahead and reply. So if you go click here, let's do Charity Navigator really quick. So right here, Charity Navigator, you don't see any information. That's okay. That happens sometimes. You can go to GuideStar Report. And then this you have to go ahead and sign up for, which I'm not going to do, so that's okay. So if you go to ProPublica, there you go. You see their revenue in 2022. This is the most update, 71K. Their expenses is 120. Their total assets is $200,000 roughly right there. And their total liabilities is 0. So this, you can even go and look at the history. You can see how much they made back in 2021. Bloodstained Men made $286,000. So almost 300K. And it's just really cool to go back and see how much they're spending versus how much they're making, and if they really need your help. And this does their tax filing, and you can do this every single Intactivist group in the Guide to Giving. You can do this for some groups like Cockfight. They're too small to do this for. Cockfight doesn't need to report because they made under 50K, but you can still go ahead and check out their reports, their EIN. Intact America, you can check them out. Intaction. Now, this doesn't have all the Intactivist groups, unfortunately. I don't know how often this gets updated. Your Whole Baby, you can go check out. So you can see their revenue and their expenses. This is kind of like a quick check. You can see how much is paid to their executive director right here. But yeah, so you can go ahead and quickly find out any Intactivist group, their information, and their finances by going to intactivist.org Guide to Giving. If you want to go ahead and get really good information on intactivism and other intactivists on Discord, the best place to go ahead and do that on is to just go to Intactivist Cord. It's really good. You can go and see they have a welcome page. They even have a place for ideas. You have resources. You have your expertise. You have other servers, so you can go see all the servers that are Intactivist related here. You also have social media websites that have intactivism things going on, and sometimes it is like pro-circumcision stuff that they want you to go ahead and comment pro-foreskin things or whatever. You have Foreskin Intact Uncircumcised. You have Mental, which you can go ahead and check. A bunch of good stuff about the psychological harms. You have religion, history, restoration, and you have other discussion gets used quite a bit in this. And you just have people even like Brendan Murata, Brian Morris, and you have grief and regret. So this is a very good library of resources. If you guys want to go ahead and just stick to Discord, you guys can just go ahead to Intactivists Discord and it's pretty good. If you want to get the best religious resource, in my opinion, is the Chonic Path. It's really good. Like, this is the best religious resource library, especially for Islam or the Muslims. And it has the contents. They do this really well. This talks about the Quran and circumcision. It even shows you the functions of foreskins. It debunks the medical myths of it, like is circumcision necessary for cleanliness? And it will go through and it'll tell you that, hey, it's not. And this is just a really good resource thing. Even common myths, like if we clip our fingernails and cut our hair, we can circumcise too. So you can just go ahead and read this. And of course, this is going to be more for the Islamic people. They're going to quote the Quran quite a bit. It's really, really useful if you guys go ahead and read this. This is them addressing some myths again, like if we can remove the umbilical cord, we can circumcise too. This group is really, really good. If you guys want to check that out, you guys definitely can. It's called the Chonic Path. Really good resource, once again, for anybody, even if you're not a Muslim, in my opinion. Yeah, so if you guys do end up clicking on some things like how male circumcision harms women, you're going to get a completely different page. Some of these do have pages that are going to take you other places. Not too many of them, but once again, not all of this is super religious. Most of it is, but it's still good stuff that you guys can go ahead and use and learn from. Oh, also, you might be asking, oh, Potts, why do we care about the Islamic people? It's not that many people or whatever. Well, Muslims are the world's fastest growing religious group, at least according to this article. So you might be running into more Muslims and Islamic people here shortly. So you never know. So it might be good to study up on this. And once again, this is not all super religious. Another great resource is the INTUI Wiki. The INTUI Wiki is very fantastic. It's a little difficult to navigate, in my opinion, but this is ran by Ulf Dunkel. The point of INTUI Wiki collects information intactivists all over the world about MGM, FGM, and IGM. Actually, if you remember me and Scott, we actually went through, and you guys probably remember we went through all the intactivist groups right here. That's what we were doing, contacting every single intactivist group ever made, ever. And there's a lot of intactivist groups, but unfortunately a lot of them are no longer available. Also, they do give intactivist news. Like here says, welcome to INTUI Wiki. Here's the general. Here's the recent events. This really does focus on bloodstained men. They give you the annual events that's going on right here. And they give financing, which talks about this book, Circumcision, the Painful Dilemma. It's a really good resource. It has lots of information on it. This is about the guy himself, Ulf Dunkel. You can definitely go ahead and read about him. But yeah, all in all, the INTUI Wiki is pretty cool. It definitely goes and gives you a lot of information if you're trying to get intactivist information for free. All right, and my favorite resource center on MGM and Foreskin Anatomy is the MGM and Foreskin Anatomy resources. It has everything from the anatomy to the parts of it to the psychological damage to physical damage, the Medical Association of Pediatrics, cultural bias, like literally everything. You guys can just click here. They do even have nonprofit organizations listed. You can go ahead and check all these. And look, they even have my channel, which is really cool. But yeah, they have Brian Morris on here. There's just a lot of stuff. And they're currently organizing and adding more resources. So if you guys want to help them, this is like a living, breathing MGM Foreskin Anatomy Resource Center. So it's always being added more. You can go to the regeneration and it will give you the NCBI government pub and Forgin. You can go ahead and check trauma resources and they'll give you places to go to see therapy and 7 stages of healing foreskin loss. Lots of really cool stuff is here and it's very well organized. So if you guys do want to go ahead and learn how to counter objections, you can go ahead and just click here and it will give you a whole bunch of things to counter when people say, oh, doctors recommend it. So it's a really great resource, great things to learn, especially for those on the front line or protesting, going to booths or whatever. This is a pretty lit resource place. All right, guys, well, that is my list of my favorite resource centers for intactivism, and I feel like they all have a specific purpose. I don't know, what do you guys think? Did I miss a resource center that you guys would like to go ahead and give out? Are there any other libraries for intactivism that are useful for the movement? If you guys know, please let me know down in the comments. All right, bye.